but there's something beautiful that happens because it's underground, which means that it's not visible to the eyes, that there is something incredible happening. And that's how it looks when we're cultivating our lives. Hello, welcome. I'm Sybil Bull, your host for Faith-Based Optimum Living, where we're going to dive into transformative content about emotional wellness, meaningful living, and purpose-driven life. I am so excited that you've joined us. And if this is your first time, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here with us. We're starting a new season. It's going to be amazing. Make sure that you don't miss any episode, and you have not subscribed. I'm looking at you. I want you to go ahead and click that notification, subscribe, turn on everything that you need to turn on so that you don't miss every week when we upload a new video on Optimum Living. In this new season, we're going to talk about cultivating, right? What it looks like to cultivate your optimum life. And that is not something that happens overnight. And for some of us, we may be actually restarting. So I want to just remind you that you can have a fresh start, you can have a reset over and over, but you have to be intentional. So we're going to talk about the word cultivation a lot this season in the different areas so that you'd be able to know what it looks like. And perhaps you could say you're on track, or maybe you can take a note and say to yourself, this is something that I need to work on. So you may be asking yourself, what's cultivation? When I think about cultivation over time, I've always thought about a farmer. I thought about a garden, but it's simply this. When you think about cultivation, it is the intentional process of fostering growth in a personal, spiritual, intellectual, or a business context. Right? So it can be in any area of your life. It doesn't have to be in one area. And we're not growing all over the place. Sometimes we're just in a concentrated area where we're growing in this specific place for this season. So you may be saying, I need to work on my spiritual life. Maybe you're saying, I need to work on my personal life. Maybe you're working on your business. Whatever it is something that you're doing in the process of fostering growth. And the growth starts with you, not just the business. Your growth starts with you, not just your spirituality. You can't just pray and not grow, right? You have to be so intentional on what you're doing. It's about nurturing something over time. And this is the part that comes in. I like to use that P word, patience. It's going to take patience, okay? Patience to cultivate exactly what you are expected and what your heart has in store, what you want, right? What your goal is, what your vision is. So it's going to take some time for that. And it's going to take a lot of care. It's going to take some discipline. It's going to take some strategy. And just like when you think about, I said earlier, like a farmer or a garden, it's about preparing the soil, your life, right? Your mindset, whatever it is. And then it's about planting seeds. And you want to take your time to ensure that it gets to the optimal condition for growth. And that's where you are. I believe that in the culture that we have, sometimes it makes us feel as if I've done it for 3 months, there should be something happening. But I want to just kind of encourage you that a lot of time, if you think about cultivating anything, and if we're going to talk about a garden for a moment, we're going to talk about if you have a seed and you plant that seed in soil, right? When you plant that seed in soil, a lot of times it's covered by dirt and you're not able to see it, but you are responsible to cultivate it. That is, you're going to water it. You're going to make sure that you have the proper soil. You're going to have to research what kind of soil it is to make sure that when the seed is in that soil, it has the capability of growing. But there's something beautiful that happens because it's underground, which means that it's not visible to the eyes, that there is something incredible happening. And that's how it looks when we're cultivating our lives and we're in a place of strategizing. We're in a place of building. We're in a place of maybe deleting, and we're taking some other things out of our lives so that we can grow. And it's not necessarily that it's always visible. Like, it's not about that you've made more money. It's not about that you've gone viral, or it's not about that you're able to run 10K. Sometimes it's about the small invisible things that you're not seeing because you're watering it, you're nurturing it. The process of when I'm going to take that plant to a place where it starts to give fruit, most of the time it has to take root. And that means that I have to be patient as I water. Is it growing? Is it growing? Is this really happening? Is anything really happening? And I can't see it. I don't feel it. And then you can become so emotional that you start to pull up what you've been cultivating. You start to sabotage what you've been cultivating. And so I just want to encourage you that as we're getting into this season of cultivating growth, and maybe for you and even for myself, having a fresh start, that you're really intentional to understand that sometimes it takes preparation. It takes planting the seeds. When you're talking about cultivating things, it talks about nurturing, right? Which is providing consistent effort that could be boring. Doesn't feel like it's, exciting and fired up. Sometimes you feel like there's no passion, but you're nurturing something. It takes a lot of discipline. Let's pause right there. When you're cultivating the life that you want, when you're cultivating the health that you want, the kind of fitness you want to be in, when you're cultivating the business that you want to grow, the relationship that you want to have, it also requires discipline. Discipline that no one can give you. That's something that you have to have. And it's this care. It's this real sensitive space where no one can do it for you but you alone. And I'm going to tell you this. It takes a lot of learning. I'm going to kind of reflect a little bit on so many different areas in my life where I've had to pause because I wanted to go 100, miles an hour, right? But I realized that I had to come back down to 35 because some things required learning. It may take that you have to have a class. You may have to have a coach. You may have to have mentorship, right? You may have to go back to school, whatever it could be. But it takes some learning. It takes some researching if you want this cultivation of growth to be sustainable in your life. So I just want to help you to understand that discipline and patience is going to be your friend, and we're going to harvest it. That means that there's going to be benefits, and the benefit is not that we got to the destination or we can see the growth only, but there's so many benefits that happens inside of you when you are cultivating this growth, when you are cultivating in that area of your life. I was thinking about even today when I went for my walk today, I was thinking about how I kept telling myself that I am rewiring my brain. I am rewiring my brain because I want to unlearn and relearn so many things, right? And so even in the process, am I able to say I can run 3 miles right now? No, but I can walk an hour. And in doing that hour, I realized that I'm rewiring some things and I'm allowing myself to be disciplined. I'm nurturing this place of fitness. I'm nurturing this place of health, right? And it helps me to see that there are small benefits. My heart is better. I have longevity. There's so many things. My brain, I feel the dopamine, release. All of these other things are happening. So I don't want you to miss that there is going to be benefits from you cultivating what you have in life. So let me ask you this question. What exactly do you believe you should be cultivating in your fresh start? Is there an area in your life that you kind of backed away from? You're like, I'm not sure. I want you to just think about that. And that may be the exact place that you need to start really researching, thinking about, did you become impatient? Thinking about, did you have enough discipline? Did you get discouraged? Did you get bored because you didn't see anything growing? Because it was invisible, but it was still growing because roots are not always seen. I just want you to ask yourself those questions and think about it so that when you start to really cultivate again in different areas or new areas, you're able to say to yourself, you know what? I have grown. Last time I was impatient. This time I'm not going to be impatient, right? And when you're there in that place, you also realize that, hey, I'm going to be more consistent. I'm not going to actually just timeline it to a small space. I'm going to allow myself to realize that even if I say 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, 60 days, that's not the end all. I'm going to allow myself to keep growing. I'm going to keep cultivating. I'm going to keep nurturing. I'm going to keep doing the things that I need to do so that I can see visible results from what I've been doing. That's what you want to see, the visible results. Not everybody see it, right? Because we're not trying to prove it to everyone. We're doing it because we want our personal growth. This is about me. It's about you. It's not about others. Now, other people will benefit from your growth, right? Because that's the way life goes. That when you think about an apple tree, someone planted that seed and watered it and nurtured it and took care of it and cultivated it. And then it started to grow and it produced apples that so many people, including myself, go to the store and we purchase, and we don't know nothing about what that person had to do to grow that tree, but we benefit from the fruit of that tree. And so that's how it is in life when you're cultivating your life for growth, that others get to benefit from the area that you've grown in. It's not amazing. It's so incredible. And sometimes you become so amazed that people actually find you interesting in the area that you've grown in. And you're thinking, I haven't even gotten there yet. And they're like, you're where I want to be. And so never minimize those things. When you're thinking about cultivation and how it leads to growth, I want you to remember this. What you nurture will grow, and what you neglect will wither. That's what I want you to remember. What you nurture will grow. And I want you to nurture the right things. I want you to nurture the things that are going to be purposeful and meaningful in your life. When you are not going to nurture it, which means you're going to neglect it. I know we don't always like to say that we're going to neglect things, but I've neglected things in my life. And I've had to say to myself, please forgive me. I've had to literally not shame talk myself, but correct my behavior. So sometimes we neglect it and it does wither. And if you need to figure out, how do I keep nurturing this? I feel so tired. I feel so exhausted. I feel like this, I feel like that. I want you to keep telling yourself, what is the reason I even started? What is the why behind all of that? Because sometimes you forget the why because you're so busy looking for the visible fruit. And you want to make sure you remember the why, because the why is always bigger than the visible fruit. All right. So make sure you keep cultivating it. When you're intentional in cultivating, there's sustainability, right? And that's the word that I want to use, because when we talk about optimum living, I'm not encouraging you. I'm not getting on here to tell you about this quick thing that's about to happen. I want you to be able to have longevity. I want you to be able to see something that you've planted. Like, again, going back to that tree, it's going to bring back fruit in every season, right? And that's what we're looking for. What's sustainable in your business? What could be sustainable in the way that you want it to be? But also the beautiful part of getting something that's meaningful. Meaningful brings so much joy and fulfillment to our lives. And many of us are searching and seeking for that. So I don't want you to be the one that don't get what you're supposed to get. I don't believe God has any respect of person. I don't believe that he's choosing one person to have this amazing life and you suffer, right? I don't believe that's how it works out. I believe that what I'm sharing with you is you get to have an opportunity you have a whole lot of seeds in your life, right? You could be a seed for your life, but you have to nurture it. You have to be disciplined. You have to be consistent. And again, whatever you nurture will grow, and whatever you neglect will wither. So you can't be surprised when it withers. And I give you this really amazing story. Not too long ago, I had bought this plant. It was doing really, really great. As a matter of fact, it's out in the hallway. It was doing really, really great. And I've had it for going on 3 years. And I don't know what's happened to this plant. All of a sudden, I'm sticking to their schedule. I'm still doing the things. I'm nurturing it. You know what I mean? I'm doing this. I'm consistent. And the tree starts to die. The leaves are starting to fall. And I'm just perplexed, y'all. I'm just like, what is happening? What is happening? And I'm saying to myself, maybe something I was doing wasn't sustainable. And I'm not sure what it is. So I backed away and I started to check the soil that the plant was in and realized that I will need to take that plant that has been flourishing, and because I've been nurturing it, and replant it. And I'm just giving you a little nugget. Sometimes you may get a sign that you've outgrown certain soils or certain areas of your life, and it's not necessarily that you got to have a full restart. Maybe you have to figure out what is the next step, what is the new strategy, so you can continue to grow in this area and not just wither away. And just because you want it to grow fast, don't water it all over the place, and don't do, they tell you it's 3 and you're like, I'm going to do 10. Just because you're doing extra doesn't mean that you're going to get the results overnight. All right. So make sure that you take your time and be patient. I know you don't always like that, but be patient. So make sure you answer that. What area do you need to be intentional for? And let me give you a couple of things to remind you. Always prepare the soil, which means take a self-assessment and be ready, right? That looks like, let me self-reflect. Let me identify my limiting beliefs. Let me take a moment to see where are there opportunities for me to grow in whatever area you are cultivating. That is your responsibility. Maybe you decide you want to launch a new business. Make sure you take the steps to do that. Don't just be watching a whole lot of YouTube videos and then you ain't going nowhere. You just got all this information without application, right? So you're setting your goals, you're taking action steps. That's like planting the seeds. You're watering, you're nurturing. That's consistency and discipline. And then you're weeding, which we're removing hindrances. Those really, sometimes they're good things that actually hinder you. And they're distractions, But then we have bad habits. I don't even have time to dive deep into that. We have bad habits. I was talking to myself about some habits that I needed to actually cultivate in my life. And so we have toxic influences, and that could be things that just steal from your life and things that just don't allow you to grow in the areas that you need to be. And then we have faith and patience, right? Where we're going to water it. We're going to wait for it. We're going to trust the process. Come on, say it with me. I'm going to trust the process, right? And then we have the harvesting, which is the reaping the fruits of the growth. So we can see some things happening, and then we just keep on reseeding, which means that it's sustainable and it's scaling in our growth. And that's a beautiful thing, because when you have a growth that is secular, that means that each success in your life, each season in your life, you can have new opportunities, you can have impact, you can have expansion. And that's so powerful, y'all. And I love that part. So here we are coming to the end of this first new video in episode in our season. And this is what I want to say in your takeaway. I want you to really be intentional, like think about, what area have I possibly neglected? What obstacles do I need to remove, right? Am I truly trusting the process, or do I keep squashing and starting over because I'm so determined to get somewhere, but I don't want to trust the process for the fruit to be produced? Am I really staying committed? I want you to make sure that you're looking into those areas and you're saying to yourself, I want to stay committed. This is your garden. This is your life, your optimum life. And you have to apply your faith. You have to make sure that you have the right counsel. You want to make sure you have the right information, whatever it is, so that you can flourish in the season that you're in. I love our time together. I love talking about cultivation. I love talking about these things. So we can talk about it forever. So that's just what I'm going to say. Make sure that you catch me on the next episode. I want to make sure that you don't miss this season. It's going to be really, really good, because cultivation is what we're doing. It is just the small intentional steps to get the results that we're looking for. If you have heard something that's really spoke to you, leave a comment. Let me know. Share this video out. And make sure, if you haven't subscribed, that you subscribe. Thanks for hanging out with me. Remember this, growth doesn't happen overnight, right? It could be some things under the soil of your life that's happening, right? Your mind's being renewed. There's a new heart, new motives, new habits. Everyone doesn't see it, but things are happening. So keep cultivating it. Keep being consistent. Keep being intentional every week, every day, and just reflect on the small steps that you're making and celebrate that. Remember that God has designed you in such a specific way. You don't have to compare your process to anyone else. And I just want to say again, thank you for joining me on Optimum Living. I'm Sybil Bull, and as always, remember to live with purpose, take care of yourself, and find meaning in the little things. Until next time, keep growing and enjoying the journey. I'll see you on the next episode.